Hi everyone, in this video we'll have a look at CachyOS, which is a very interesting Linux distro, which is based on Archlinux. So this is CachyOS from August, and I know what I'm talking about because I use Archlinux by the way. And in this video we will make a review about this optimized Archlinux, and also with many new features that are already configured, in contrast that in Archlinux you have to configure by yourself. So let's start with the release notes. This is CachyOS August 2025, and here we have many new features that I'm also interested in. So CachyOS provides two Linux kernels, the LTS one and also the latest Linux kernel, and it also provides Neri window manager, which is a very interesting compositor for Wayland, and it also provides an alternative to grab bootloader Limin, with also the support to the BTRFS file system. And it also have the bootable snapshots. So if you make some mistakes, you can go back to a previous working snapshot of your operating system. And CachyOS, it's also a rolling release, so it's very useful, this feature, because when you try new Linux software which isn't very well integrated and tested, it's useful to have the ability to go back. It's Archlinux distro with optimization for gaming, which I won't test, but if you're a gamer you will find easier to install the drivers and the configuration for NVIDIA or AMD with this distro. And here are the release notes, and I will leave this blog post in the description. And I also installed this Linux distro, and I made some tests and benchmark, so we can have a look. If you want to download the ISO file, you can use this, and you can grab your copy of CachyOS. There is the desktop edition, which is the more popular edition, or you can also have the handheld edition if you have this kind of devices. So have a look at the OS. It's this one. I installed CachyOS with the Neri desktop environment, but I wasn't lucky, so I had to switch to GNOME after I installed this OS. So let's see which application we find by default in the operating system. We have Alacrity as the default terminal, which is very fast. It's almost instantaneous. And then we have BTRFS specific programs like BTRFS Assistant, so we can see the snapshots, and the snapshots are done automatically at every update of your system, and it integrates a snapper, so you could use this part, restore, and every time you use Archlinux CachyOS, you can roll back to the pre-state or the post-state of the command, and this hook is managed automatically, so you use CachyOS, Archlinux, how you are used to use this kind of distros, and here you can roll back with restore. But there is also another way to do it in this kind of distro. So this is a BTRFS assistant, and this software comes from the repositories of CachyOS. So as you can see, it isn't in a it don't come from our repository, but it comes from CachyOS repository. And so let's try also with the terminal. If I do sudo pacman update, you can see that we have these repositories active, and okay, it's already updated. So let's continue to see the software available. This is a CachyOS kernel manager. This is a software which isn't installed in Archlinux, plain Archlinux, and by default we have two Linux kernels for compatibility. So we have Archlinux stable 6.16 and Archlinux LTS 6.12, and by default I'm using the first one. So this is the kernel that I'm using by default, and it's fine. So no problem with the normal Linux kernel. With some configuration, maybe you need the LTS, which is a more tested kernel. Okay, so this is CachyOS kernel manager, and there is also another tool, but we can try to go here. We have the package installer if you want to install new repositories and new packages by category here. And then we have a fish shell by default. So when I type ls minus tab, we have the auto-completion for all the commands, and it's different from bash shell, which is normally installed by default. Then we have the extensions. Chromium, I install it by myself, so it isn't provided by default. Fish shell, htop, let's see, htop. So this normal software, and we have this Limin snapshot restore. This also a very particular software, which is managed by the bootloader Limin. So when you reboot the distro, you can pick an older snapshot, or you can also do it once the distro is loaded. So here you can pick the number to roll back to a previous release. And then we have Octopi, which is the package manager, the graphical interface, because under the hood it uses Pacman like Archlinux, and it's very fast. Okay, let's see if we have more commands to look at. We have also a scheduler picker for the kernel, and I didn't change this configuration, so this is by default. If you want to change the mode, so you have auto, gaming, power save, low latency, and server. I left as is, so leave me in the comments if you changed this kind of configuration and if you found benefits from it. Okay, so this is the installed CachyOS. Now I have some notes about the installation process. I didn't record it because it's quite default. It uses Calamares, and when you load the live OS, it came with the KDE desktop environment. You just have to adjust the resolution because otherwise it is very small. And then it's iLive OS, and this is the second window that you get from the installer, and you can pick the bootloader, which is by default grab, like in almost all the Linux distros, but you can also pick the systemd boot. So systemd boot is the default. Grab probably it's the more compatible with all the hardware, and you also have refined and limin, and I pick limin because I was interested in the BTRFS snapshot management at the boot. Then it's Calamares installation. I chose BTRFS as a file system with encryption with Lux, which is this one, and it uses correctly this kind of configuration, and not all Linux distro can do it. And you can also choose bcachefs, which is a very new Linux file system, which it is very interesting, but I do not recommend it because probably it will go outside the Linux kernel. So it's very experimental, but you can choose it. And then you can pick the desktop environment. So by default it uses Plasma, so KDE, but you can also choose GNOME desktop, which is also very popular, XFC, Budgie, Cinnamon, Cosmic, Hyperland, Niri, and I chose Niri because I like very much this desktop environment, Niri, but unfortunately I wasn't able to run it, and I didn't investigate much in the issues that it has with CachyOS, but you can choose it. LXD, LXQT, Mate, OpenBox, Qtile, Sway, UQI, and Wayfire. So if you install CachyOS, you have all the available desktop environments for Linux. And you can also choose other packages here in the installer, the additional packages, but you can also do it after you made the installation. Okay, this is the latest warning before the installation, and this is the loader. So CachyOS, it's famous for its optimizations, and the aim of this video is also to test if it's evident or not that this Linux distro is optimized. Especially here they claim that the kernel x86 it's also optimized for Zen 4, and here are other optimization. This is the first boot inside this Linux distro, and as I said, I had issues with Neri, so I wasn't able to run it by default, so I had to go in the frame buffer to interact with this distro. And as you can see, every time you install manually a software, like here, Pacman install Chromium, you can see the hooks that automatically make a snapshot with the snapper for the BTRFS snapshot. And this is the status with the snapper list. You can see the snapshots that you have in your system. Then I installed manually the GNOME desktop. So with this command I installed GDM, the GNOME console, which is also called KGX, GNOME shell, and Nautilus. So I stopped also SDDM to run GNOME, and these are also the additional packages that I installed on top of Neri, so 300 megabytes more. And with this command I replaced SDDM with GDM, and this is the first boot in GNOME inside CachyOS. This is Limin. So as I said, you have two kernels in CachyOS, and you have Linux CachyOS, which is the latest Linux kernel, and Linux CachyOS LTS. So if some hardware don't work with your system, you can try to switch from one to another. And under snapshots here you can see that when you use this distro, it automatically creates these snapshots, and you can choose the snapshot from the bootloader. So it's very nice to have this integration easily available in this Linux distro. And here are some more packages that I installed, so like GNOME Control Center, and this is the information box. So I tested CachyOS with Wayland Windows system in KVM virtualization environment, and these are other info about my system. So Ryzen 7 7700, And this is htop from a clean GNOME session. It's very efficient, so a GNOME session of 621 megabytes of RAM used, so it's very little. And here some benchmarks that I made. So let's see if CachyOS is really justified over Archlinux or other Archlinux based distros like Manjaro. So on the left we have CachyOS with Chromium 139, and here we have an updated Manjaro with Chromium 139 too. And these are the tests with Speedometer, which is a very popular benchmark which measures the browser performance. And on the left we have 23.3 on CachyOS, and in Manjaro we have 24, which we have more or less the same value of this benchmark. Probably the biggest difference is the default Linux kernel, which is 6.16 in CachyOS, and in Manjaro it's the LTS one, so 6.6, but we have very similar results. This is the second run, and also in second run Manjaro wins over CachyOS, but the score it's almost the same, so very close. So here we have CachyOS, and here we have Manjaro. So same version, same Windows system, same condition of both operating system, and the kernel, yeah, 6.6. This is the same test with Firefox. So also in Firefox we have a little bit higher score with Manjaro. And this is another test. It's WebGL Aquarium, which I have 9 FPS in CachyOS and 9 FPS in Manjaro. But these virtual machines do not have GPU acceleration, so this test isn't very relevant. Another issue that I had with the CachyOS, it's with Limin Snapper Restore, which initially it didn't start, and I got this error, no suitable terminal found, but installing GNOME console I fixed this issue, probably because I didn't pick GNOME in the installer. And I chose Niri. So this is my review of Linux CachyOS. I think it's a very interesting project. Probably if you are a gamer, it is worth to install, because it has some optimizations that you don't find in other distros. But honestly, I don't find particular reasons to migrate to it from Manjaro or Archlinux. You can always do this kind of tweaks by yourself, looking at the Arch wiki. And as we saw in the benchmarks, you don't have particular advantages to use an optimized kernel, at least with my tests. Leave me in the comments if you found some tests where the optimization of CachyOS are really effective over Archlinux or Manjaro. That's it. Leave me a like if you found this video useful, and see you in another one. Bye.